Hey everyone, before we begin, I just want to give a quick shout out for my online shop. You can go to www.adakai-tcg.com to check out all the latest custom cards that I've been working on for the One Piece card game. I do both custom leaders and Dawn sets as well. In particular, I want to feature the newest Dawn set that I re-released. It is the Luffy will be king, where each straw hat is proclaiming that Luffy will be king of the pirates. And so this will be a made to order as well, so there will be a limited time this will be in production. And so don't miss out on it if you like the card and you want to get a set for yourself, because production will be limited to a certain time frame that this will be available for. And so grab it while you can. And so if you guys see here, the card quality is also increased. We are now able to offer textured foil and print onto a higher quality card as well. And so the cards look even more beautiful in person. So if you guys like what you see, make sure to grab it before it's too late. But we'll go back to the video now. Hey everyone, I also wanted to announce some cool news. I recently partnered with Whatnot and am now officially an affiliate. For those of you who don't know, Whatnot is an awesome shopping platform that enables anyone to turn their passions into a business. Here you can find tons of live streams featuring the products that you love, including One Piece boosters, singles, and slabs. Plus, if you use the link in the description below, you can receive $10 free. Make sure to check it out so you don't miss out. Hey everyone, adakai TCG here, and I'm coming at you with another deck profile video. Today we're going to be going over OP07 Rob Lucci, and so this is one of the new leaders coming out in the upcoming set. He is a mono black leader, and he has 5,000 power. His effect is, when attacking, you may trash the top 2 cards from your deck, and then give up to one of your opponent's characters -1 cost for the turn. And he is a really cool leader. I think he's going to be one of the top meta decks for this upcoming set. I had a ton of fun playing him. My locals allowed OP07 proxies for this last week, and so I got to test him quite a bit. And really strong leader, really strong effect. Plays similarly to Sakazuki and Moria. But I do think that if you prefer a little bit more of an aggressive playstyle, even though this deck is kind of like a Sakazuki deck, it does tend to lend, or I feel like it plays better if you are a little bit more aggressive too. And so and if you guys are wondering, this is a custom card that I did. It is featuring him in the Awaken form. I'm not sure why Bandai didn't give him the Awaken form for the alt art that they have for the set, but again, it seemed like a missed opportunity for them, and so made this card, and it's available on my website too if you want to purchase it as well. But let's go right on ahead to the deck profile. And the way I'll split the cards up, we'll go through the norm again, but we'll split it up to the non-CP and then the CP package, just because the CP tag becomes very relevant for a lot of the cards in this deck, and so we'll split it up that way too. But we'll go through the 2Ks first. First, we're running 3 copies of the 2K counter Suru. So she's a 1-drop 0K power, and on play you can minus one of your opponent's characters for 2 costs during the turn. Again, your typical 2K counter for black, a huge staple. I'm only running 3 of in this deck because the deck list is quite tight, and there's so many cards that really work well in the deck, and so this is one of the ones that I've been running at 3, but still seem to see it enough. And so again, in this deck I'm also not running brand new, so there's not a way to search her either. And so as far as if you wanted to search for a 2K, it's not as reliable within this iteration of the deck, whereas its importance in like a full navy deck. And so That's why I opted to run her at 3. But going on, we have 4 copies of the 4-drop Khalifa from OP03. She's a 4-cost 4k power, 2000 counter. And then on play, you get to draw 2 cards and trash 2 cards from your hand, and then give up to one of your opponents -2 cost during the turn. And so it's like the Sabo effect and Suru combined. It's another way to cost reduce, but also a way to cycle your hand, which is great. The 4k power stat line is a little bit low. This card would be so good if it was a 5k power, but again, even then, you can still just attach 1 Dawn and swing it to leader if you need to. I do find myself playing this card as well, just to cycle more cards from my hand and get more cards into the deck, or to my trash rather. And so, yeah, don't be afraid to use that in that way. But again, just it having a 2k counter is also great. So I love these type of cards, the ones that are very flexible in their purpose. And so it allows you to really, I guess, adjust your playstyle to match whatever your opponent's throwing at you. And so you'll see that there's quite a few cards like that, especially this next card as well. We have 4 copies of the new Kaku. This is from OP07. These are proxies that are printed out. But yeah, it's a 4-cost 5k body, 2k counter, which is fantastic. And then on play, you can place 2 cards with the type of CP from your trash to the bottom of your deck, and give up to one of your opponent's characters cost of -3. And so, just another great flex card. Its stat line makes it a great card to play, just to have a swinger on the board as well. But you get the added benefit of it being a 2k in hand, or giving you cost reduction. So yeah, having that flexibility, again, this is huge. And so another fantastic card for the deck, and it does have the CP tag too, so you can utilize it for other CP effects. Next is the only searcher that we're running in the deck. We are running 4 copies of Spandam. This is from OP03 as well. It's the 1-cost 2k, has a 1k counter, and on play, you get to search the top 3 cards of your deck for a CP card other than Spandam, and then the rest go in trash, which is great because you get to build your trash, which this deck, you constantly want to build your trash to use it as kind of like a toolbox to play things like Moria, Rebecca, or some other events in this deck as well. And so, yeah, really good card. You can search for the pieces you need, whether it's cost reduction, more 2Ks, or a CP card with KO. You have to run this card to 4 of, I believe. And so, yep. Next, we will go through kind of like the KO package, what I like to call it. We have 2 copies of the 3-drop Brook. So this is the one from EB01. This card is so good. It's a 3-cost 4k body, and this 1k counter. And on play and when attacking, you can give up to one of your opponent's characters a cost of -1 for the turn, and then you can KO a character with a cost of 0. And so this card can come on the board KOing a 0 cost, and then, or giving a card -1 cost, and then KOing a 0 cost. And then your opponent has to continue to worry about it because each time it attacks, it has the potential to KO another body on the board. And so, really good card, and the best part is you can play it off of Rebecca's effect. And so, whether it's in your trash or whether it's in your hand, this card is always live, as long as you can play the Rebecca. And so, really cool card, really good effects, and definitely wanted at least 2 of in this deck. We are running 4 copies of the 4-drop Luffy, or not Luffy, Lucci, sorry. And this is from OP05. This is a staple CP card. It's 4-cost 6k body, and on play, you can place 3 cards to the bottom of from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order, and then choose up to one of your opponent's 1-cost and 2-cost characters, and then KO both of them. And so, really strong card, taking out 2 bodies for just playing 1 out. And yeah, even though 2 and 1 are kind of low, this deck doesn't lack cost reduction at all. And so, yeah, this Lucci just becomes a menace. And so, again, this is just an example of one of the cards that you're going to be playing that's going to keep putting stuff from your trash to the bottom of your deck. And so the synergies come as you keep swinging with Rob Lucci and keep filling your graveyard. And so, yeah, really good card. And it's a really good Moria target as well. But there's an even cooler combo that you can do, which I'll explain later in the video as we go through the cards. We have 3 copies of the 5-drop Kaku. This is from OP03 as well. It's a 5 cost, 6k body with a 1k counter. And then on play, you can place 2 cards with a type CP from your trash to the bottom of your deck. And then KO one of your opponents with a cost of 3 or less. And so, another great card, fantastic stat line, 5 cost, 6k body is a really good stat. And yeah, you were able to hit a 3 cost, which is really nice. Just getting that 1 additional cost higher KO power. You'll see, like, with the cost reduction in this deck, it's super nice. And so yeah, we're running that at 3 of. I wish I could make it 4 of, but 3 seems like it's enough where you're seeing it every game and you're able to realistically play it out once or twice a game. And so, yeah, running at 3. Next, we'll go to the blockers. We're running 4 copies of Rebecca. This is another MVP of the deck. She's a blocker, 4 cost, 0k power, 1k counter. But on play, you can add up to 1 black character with a cost of 3 to 7, other than Rebecca, from your trash to your hand. Then play 1 black character with a cost of 3 or less from your hand rested. So she enables so many cards from the deck. She is such a key card. She can grab back a 2k if you need a 2k. She can grab back a Brook if you want to play the Brook the same turn, if you want a KO power. She can grab you back your Luccis and Kakus if you just need to have those in hand for the next turn. She can grab back your blocker Sabos too. This card just opens up so many different playlines for the deck, and so definitely nice to have her at 4 of. Yeah, one of the matchups that I played over the weekends, even though I ran 4 of, all 4 copies were in the bottom of my deck. And this deck just struggled without seeing her. And so definitely need her. Definitely want her either in your hand or the trash too, because we do play Moria in this deck. And so we have ways of grabbing her back from the trash if needed. But yeah. Next we have 3 copies of the 5-drop Sabo. This is the 5 cost, 6k power blocker Sabo. It has 1k counter. And yeah, for those of you who don't know, on play, none of your characters can be KO'd by effects until the start of your next turn, which is fantastic for a removal heavy meta. And then you get the added benefit of drawing 2 cards and trashing 2 cards from your hand. So another way to cycle and dig deeper into your deck while simultaneously filling your graveyard. And so yeah, another fantastic card. I think 3 of is okay. You generally want to play this card later into the matchup. I think it gives you more efficiency then. As you're building a little bit of a wider board, dropping something like this after establishing it can really just put a wrench into your opponent's plans. And so yeah, fantastic card. We will go through the boss monsters next. I'm gonna move Lucci to this side, but yeah, we're running 2 copies of the 8-drop Isho. So this is the OP03 Isho. It's an 8 cost, 9k power. It doesn't have any counter, but on play, if your opponent has 6 or more cards in their hands, they have to trash 2 cards from their hands, which you get to choose randomly. And the other effect is you can attach 1 Don to hit, and then give all of your opponents -3 cost across the board. And so once this hits the board, you're not only stripping your opponent of hand size, but you can attach 1 Don to it, and now suddenly all of your opponent's cards are 3 cost cheaper, meaning your Kakus, your Luccis, your Brooks are hitting that much higher. And so with the added effect of having Rob Lucci being able to -1 on a character, suddenly these really high cost drops are in KO range with your package here. And so really good card. It's kind of a meta call pick. It's good into yellow. It's good into black, yellow Luffy. Good into Nell. Yeah, and so any deck that likes to have a pretty big hand size, dropping this Isho is fantastic. Next, we're running 4 copies of the 8-drop Moria. This is the other big card that makes this whole engine run. Yeah, Moria just has so many play lines with this deck. You can grab back a Rebecca, you can grab back a Spandam, and your Rebecca can grab back the Brook. You know, if you need cost reduction, you can grab back the Suru and play out a Lucci. There's just so many play lines you can do with this deck. If you want card cycle, you can also play Khalifa. There's, yeah, it just feels like there's infinite possibilities. But it is a key factor in running one of the newest and broken combos you can do in the deck, which is utilizing this card, which I run 1 copy of. I think you can argue to run 2, but again, I think any more than that is unnecessary. But this is the new OP07 Spandin, and what he does is he's a 3 cost, 2k power with 1k counter. But you really want him for the on-play ability, which is on play, you may return 3 cards with the type CP from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. Then play 1 cost 4 character or lower with CP in its type, other than Spandin, from your trash rested. So the combo is you get to play Moria. Your Moria will grab back something like a Rebecca. And yeah, what other 1 cost you can do Spandam if you want to draw some extra cards. Then use your Rebecca to grab back Spandam from the trash. Then Spandin can grab your Lucci. And so really cool combo. So then now all of a sudden you went from having no cards on the board to having 5 cards on the board, and with the potential to KO 2 cards with Rob Lucci. And so and that's all being done with 8 Dawn. So you still have 2 Dawn to utilize to cost reduce the cards you want to KO, or you know, play out something else as well, or just attach to your leader and swing. And so there's just so many combos you can do with this card in particular, and that's kind of what makes this deck so strong. And that's also what kind of makes this deck a little hard to play, because there are so many options. You are constantly having to manage your trash as well, because some of these effects can only be done through the trash. And so yeah, it will take a little bit of getting used to and seeing those play lines, but once you do, I think it'll pay a ton of dividends. So that's that. We're gonna go through the toolkits. I guess these are the more tech choices that I put into the deck. These are also the first cards you can adjust for certain matchups as well too. And so yeah, let's go through that first. I am running 2 copies of Helmeppo. He is from the Starter 6 starter box, and he's a 2 cost 3k body. He has 1k counter, and on play you can give up to one of your opponent's characters -3 cost from the turn. Just another good Moria target if you need to reach a little bit higher. Cost reduction for a KO. And so I think this is actually one of the cards you can argue to drop down to 1 or even 0, but I personally like having that in that 1 extra cost reduction, and it has come up quite a bit, and so it's more of a comfort pick for me. But again, this is a card you can replace, and I can talk about some of the cards that we can play in its stead as well, but we'll go through the rest of the toolkits. I'm running 2 copies of the 5 cost 6k Zombie Luffy. And so this is another new card from OP07. He has 1k counter, but his effect is when attacking, trash up to one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 2 or less. Then place any number of characters with a cost of 4 or more from your trash to the bottom of your deck in any order. This character gains 1000 power during this turn for every 3 cards placed at the bottom of your deck. So this is the tech choice to play for Black Yellow Luffy. Without this card, that matchup feels infinitely harder. Just because this deck doesn't have a real good way to deal with the Sabo blockers. But alas, if you can establish this Luffy on the board, you can not only bypass the unkillable effect that the Black Yellow Luffy abuses, but simultaneously this Luffy can swing quite high towards the end of the game when you're trying to push for a game, because by that point of the game you're going to have a ton of 4 cost or higher cards in your trash to put back into your bottom of your deck, meaning he's going to be swinging for significantly higher than he should be. And so really cool card. I think it's almost mandatory for the Black Yellow Luffy matchup, but again, it is a flex pick as well. And so I honestly, through my testing so far, I may want to drop Helmepa down to 1 and actually run 3 copies of the Zombie Luffy, because yeah, again, if I don't see that card in that matchup, it just feels so much harder. And then lastly, we have 1 copy of the 6-drop Brook. This is another card that bypasses the unkillable cards, and basically it's a 6 cost, 6k power. It has no counter, which kind of hurts it. But on play, you can choose one. You trash one of your opponent's characters with a cost of 4 or less, or your opponent places 3 cards from the trash at the bottom of their deck in any order. So the first effect is great against, actually both effects are quite good against black. I think I've only used the second ability once, early into, I think it was the only card I could play out. There wasn't a good target for me to trash, and so it was a mirror match, and I did force the Lucci to put back 3 cards from the trash to set them back a little bit more. But yeah, this is just another way to bypass the Sabo blocker. Again, I do think that you can replace this card as well. Some other options you can do that I've been playtesting with is the new Stussy. That's I believe she's a 9-drop, but on play you can trash one of your cards to KO one of your opponent's characters, regardless of their cost. And so that card's great too, because by the time you're ready to play her, you probably have a lot of chump things that you can just KO on your side of the board, like a Spandam or Suru that you played out. But you're able to KO anything on the opponent's board, regardless of its cost. And so yeah, it's a really strong card. And the other one that I've been playtesting with is the Secret Rare Sabo. This is a new one from OP07. And what that does is on play, you can KO, I think it's a 5 cost and a 3 cost. And you have to trash a card from your hand. And so, again, another super strong card. It's similar to Lucci, but hitting higher numbers. And so it's a great way to hit a little bit higher and shift the tempo in your favor if your opponent has some high cost bodies on the board. But yeah, so that's the toolkit package. Again, these 5 cards can be flexed. And lastly, we'll go through the events and stage. So we are running 4 copies of the 1 cost event. This is 1 cost event called Tempest Kick. This is the new event from OP07, tagged with CP, which is great as well. But what it does is activate main, draw 1 card. After this, if your trash has 10 or more cards, give up to one of your opponent's -3 cost for the turn. So right there, it's like a better Great Eruption, because you're drawing a card, it's replacing itself, it's still 1 cost, and you're giving an opponent's character -3 cost, which is crazy. Only stipulation is you can't use it too early because of the 10 drop restriction, or 10 cards in your trash restriction. And so it may seem like a lot of cards, but again, with Lucci's effects, trashing 2, with things like Spandom, with things like Khalifa, and things like countering out, you're gonna hit that 10 cost, or not 10 cost, the 10 trash in your cards, 10 cards in your trash, I'm so sorry, quite easily. And so, really, really strong card. I think 4 of is perfect. It just helps so much in this deck where you're not really KOing that high of a cost cards, like with Lucci, with Kaku, and with Brook. And so having it hit, -3, that's huge. And so the other card we're running is, and I guess this is not considered a CP card, so I'll put it separately, but it is 3 copies of the 2-drop stage from OP03 and its lobby. And what it does is activate main, you can rest the stage, and if your leader has a CP tag, which Lucci does, give up to one of your opponent's characters -2 cost during the turn. So yeah, the reason why this deck works so well, even though we're not hitting that high numbers with our KO characters, is because of cards like Endless Lobby, Tempest Kick, and the leader ability. And so I'm running this at a 3 of. I think in the beginning of the Japanese meta, people were running 4 of this card, but I did notice a trend of them lowering it down to 3 towards the end of the deck, or to the end of that set. And so I think the reason being, after you have it once, it's established, you don't need it again, and so it's just kind of a dead card in hand after that. And so yeah, I think having it 3 copies usually means you'll see it once a game, while it won't break up your hand too much. But again, if you even have it in your hand, I've done play lines like, even though I've already had it in its lobby in hand, if I needed the extra cost reduction, I'll just replay another stage, just a -4 total for the turn. And so there are things you can do. It's not fully dead in hand, but this is the deck list. Again, it is a little bit more complex to play, but I think it's a deck that's going to pay dividends if you just continue to grind out games, get used to the play lines. It's a ton of fun too. And so yeah, this is one of the main decks that I am super excited for OP7 going onwards. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Test it out on Sim, and if you guys have any suggestions too, please reach out and let me know too. Alright guys, catch you later.